Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the She Shoots podcast, Women Empowering Women in the Shooting Community, Season 2, Episode 19. Anna MacIntosh from the CCFR Women's Program. Today's episode will be covering the theme of organizations. My name is Regina Ruiz Ordóñez, and I'm from the Canadian University Shooting Federation. And joining me today, as always, are Deneen Tomlin and Casey Gavinchuk from Lady Guns, and Kelly Melanson from Maple Leaf Project, Sunfire Radio, and CCFR Women's Program. Let's start by thanking our sponsors today. So we would like to thank Cabela's Canada Outdoor Fund, positively shaping the future of the outdoors. Every cent donated by rounding up at checkout goes to work Canadian organizations just like ours. Savage Arms, home to the Stevens single-shot rifles and shotguns. Beretta, family-owned and operated since 1526. Vortex, the best in optics, and Canada First Ammo. If you have any questions or comments throughout the show, make sure to leave them in the chat box below. Doing so will automatically enter you in the draw for today's giveaways. Today we have a She Shoots t-shirt and a Canada First Ammo prize pack. So that's it for me. Deneen and Kelly, could you please introduce our guest today?
Thank you very much, Regina, and welcome everybody. I'm really excited, Kelly, to have Anna with us, and I'm really excited that it is Tuesday because I woke up this morning thinking it was Monday. Of course, August long weekend just went by, so yeah, it's exciting to have such a lovely group of ladies that I get to surround myself with, and I include Anna in that list. So I'm going to have the privilege of introducing you with your bio, Anna, and then we're going to roll into some questions. So our guest this week is Anna MacIntosh, the Vice President of the Women's Program for the Canadian Coalition for Firearms Rights, also known by most of us as the CCFR. She is an engineer by day, but also spends her spare time, teaching healthy movement classes, gardening, making jam, and of course, shooting. Anna became licensed roughly 7 years ago and spent time shooting recreationally with her husband. After becoming a member of the CCFR and participating in the CCFR Gunny Girl calendar, to which we're going to talk about tonight, she jumped in with both feet, being mentored by other women and men and getting trained as an RSO to support sponsored women's range days in Ontario. That's a range safety officer, for those of you who don't know. Fast forward a couple of years, and she's taken her passion for empowering other women and teaching safe shooting basics to the next level for the women's program. Welcome to the show tonight, Anna. We're happy to have you on She Shoots.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the invite, and it's actually very timely. Lots to talk about on the women's program right now. So yeah, thank you very much.
Wonderful. Well, we've got the beautiful and talented Kelly as co-host tonight. So Kelly, why don't you kick us off with some great questions for Anna?
Sure. So yeah, welcome, Anna. So Anna and I know each other quite well, particularly because we are both with the women's program for the CCFR, and it's Anna's actually one of she's recently taken over as the VP of Women's Programs, and she's doing a fantastic job at it as well. So love to have her on and chat with everybody about the women's program, and then also about Ladies' Days and the calendar shoots that are going to be taking place. But Anna, we already actually got a little bit of a biography, but why don't you tell us a little bit more? Tell us about how you grew up. Did you grow up in a firearms household? Or were you somebody who actually didn't even know about guns until you got a little bit older, and then you were surrounded yourself with women who actually shoot?
For sure. Yeah. Well, thanks for the question. I think, we all come at it from a little bit of a different angle. So it's always kind of interesting, to see what somebody's background is. I grew up out east, so I'm from Nova Scotia originally. And I grew up in a family where, my dad and my brother shot a little bit, kind of recreationally, the odd hunting, there was like the 22 and the 12 gauge around, that kind of thing. But I was never really kind of brought into it. It was never really something that I gravitated towards naturally myself at that age. And there were quite a few years between myself and my brother. So I think it was just one of those things that it just wasn't something that I really got into with my family. Fast forward a lot of years later, obviously, choosing to do something very mechanically inclined for a living I started to, have a lot of an understanding of a lot of mechanical basics and other types of things in that realm, which also kind of built my confidence a little bit more in that, idea of like, oh, I've always been interested in firearms. Maybe I'd like to get licensed and shoot. So then, a little bit later, I actually had enrolled in my PAL course, and for some reason, it got canceled. So, that opportunity kind of like fell by the wayside. And then I had a friend down in the States in Vegas who was a shooter, and obviously lots of opportunity, to shoot in ways in the States that maybe we don't have here. So on a couple of trips down there, he gave me the opportunity to not just go out and actually shoot, but to teach me some fundamentals, to teach me how to, take apart a gun, how to do some cleaning, just some safety basics. And I think it really, took that next kind of that element of maybe fear and anxiety of like the lack of control or the things that I didn't understand. One more element was gone out of it, and that kind of really was like, okay, now I really want to go back and get my license. So we went shooting together here when my husband and I got together a couple of years ago. Well, a couple of years ago, 7 years ago now, and that just kind of like sparked things. And so after that opportunity, I went and got licensed. He had been hunting, all his life. So the two of us kind of started out on that journey here together. And then it just snowballed a little bit from there. You obviously, you need to get your range membership and all the other things that come with it. You take your safety courses. So, did all of those things. And that would be at the point where, I was shooting reasonably often, but still pretty recreationally, and still very much with other people or with my husband. And I wanted to be able to feel like he wasn't the only person that kind of had to, be that extra safety person for me when I was at the range, that he didn't have to be the only person to help, teach me things or expose me to other things. And that's when I also kind of found the CCFR. And it really also then sparked my interest to kind of look at the community of other women that were out there that had experience in areas that I didn't, that had exposure to other organizations and that kind of thing. And that's what really kind of opened the avenue into, I guess, the wider organization that I've kind of become part of in the last few years.
And so, Anna, thank you for that great explanation and helping us understand how you got from a girl on the East Coast to who you are today. Now, I'm curious. You said the CCFR was kind of part of that introduction. Did you go to a CCFR women's event? Is that how you got introduced to it?
So I started seeing the CCFR around the time that the OIC happened. And I was kind of like, I was, locked in a small space, under COVID conditions where you have limited opportunity to actually participate in things. And I was, looking for ways to engage in the community. And so I really found the CCFR, from an arm's length at first. And so I started to pay attention, I guess, a little bit that way and realize that this community was out there. And then the first event that I really actually had the opportunity to attend was the Gunny Girl calendar photo shoot. Not because that's the way it normally goes for lots of people, but it just happened to be, I think, the combination of the fact that like COVID was opening up, after everything being closed down for a while, and just me being exposed to the community at that time. I think it just kind of happened. But what I will say is I went to the calendar photo shoot, and what I think within a week and a half, Kelly, I was at a range day in Ottawa. Got up at like 4 a.m. and drove to the first range day in Ottawa to start getting mentored. Because it was just, as soon as I got exposed in real life to these women, it was like, yes, of course I want to be involved, right?
Yeah. And then you haven't looked back either. There's been so much that you've been, as you said, the next weekend you were at a ladies' day, and then you were actually at an RSO course, and you were participating in several range days. And I knew that, if we needed somebody to go and participate in a ladies' day that was in Southwestern or even northwestern Ontario, Anna would be up for it, and just to reach out to her, and you, it was 110%. You were fully into it. As I said, you became an RSO. Then you actually became part of the women's program executive as well, and then it just snowballed after that. So yeah, you have quite a passion for introducing women to shooting, and so you're exactly what we need. So thank you.
One thing I've never been accused of is not jumping in with both feet.
Good to know. So Kelly just mentioned your first role with CCFR was RSO, and you did a bunch of things that way, and then you joined the women's program. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, like basically what I did was, I mean, my first opportunity to kind of meet everybody was the calendar photo shoot, and as soon as I kind of got to meet everybody, I immediately committed to the first opportunity I had to go to a range day, because it gave me the opportunity to see, like, what is this calendar actually about? You know, the calendar is the thing that generates the funds to really do what we do. And so, going to one of those events and actually like feeling the energy of being around, 60 new or reasonably new women, learning to shoot, being safe, feeling like they're comfortable, and like watching them go from, a little bit nervous, a little bit anxious, to, like stomping away with their friends and like trying to figure out how many other people they can invite next time. It's just, I don't know, there's something kind of intoxicating about that. And I think probably growing up in a really male dominated industry, we all talk about that a lot. There are still elements to that, even if you've worked in them for long periods of time, that it's nice to be around that situation and that feeling where you feel like everybody's on your side, right? Like everybody's your cheerleader.
So can we talk about that, your role that you play right now, as the director, I believe it is, of women's programs with CCFR? What is that role responsible for, Anna?
Sure. So I am the VP of the women's program right now for the CCFR, and essentially that means I'm responsible for running the program events or the sponsorship elements of the program. So that involves our fundraiser, which is the major project every year, which is the CCFR Cunny Girl calendar. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a couple minutes.
Yeah.
But essentially that is the yearly project that generates the funds, right? That then sponsors our range days. So there are ranges all across Canada. Every one of those ranges has passionate people and someone at their range who's kind of taken the helm and the initiative to contact the CCFR and say, hey, we're running a ladies range day. We really would like your sponsorship. And so what we do is we have a standard package. We work with the range and we provide them, some swag and some other things as part of that sponsorship package. If we're available, we send female RSOs to provide, direct one-on-one coaching right on the lines, especially for a lot of the clubs that might have less female volunteers, or maybe some women that aren't necessarily qualified or comfortable to be RSOs, and teaching other people how to shoot. So there's like all of those elements that the calendar provides as part of our sponsorship. And then the other thing that we also do is we sponsor other events. So we'll attend things like, I think this year and last year, we've gone to one of the firearm safety courses. That's an all women's firearm safety course down here in Southwestern Ontario. What else do? We do women's only hunts. We went for a pheasant hunt earlier this year. So we give women a lot of opportunity to get out either with a group of other women or sometimes even with their family, right? Some of our events are a little bit more family oriented as well, because, obviously being able to bring your kids sometimes is an element of accessibility to those opportunities for lots of women, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really what my role is about. It's about running the project of the calendar so that we can generate as much funding as we can every year to then create the opportunity to work with all of the ranges and all of the people out there that are looking for CCFR sponsorship to create more opportunities for women, specifically to get into the shooting sports.
Before we start talking about the calendar, let's talk about a little bit why Okay, so the CCFR, we're the only organization that has a women's specific program, or actually, that was the case until recently. But
That's true.
let's chat a little bit of why that the CCFR had that idea about having a specific women's program and why it's so important to actually gun owners in Canada and for sport as well.
Absolutely. And it's a really good point,
And
right?
that's why we're doing the calendar.
Yeah, because a lot of people think it's about the calendar, right? And,
No,
you know,
it's
you'll
not.
hear a lot of us talk about, you know, it's, yes, the calendar's fun, but it's not about the calendar. It's really about giving women a perspective of firearms that might be different than the one that you would otherwise be exposed
Right.
to. And, you know, I don't say that specifically only about women. There's lots of, you know, lots of people out there in the world that may be, you know, may only be exposed to certain information and points of view, and
Yep.
may have had their experiences, you know, really, you know, shape their perspective, which I completely understand. But I do think that there is, you know, well, and I think, you know, we can all admit that there is a significant negative connotation that surrounds the firearms community. And unfortunately, you know, the crime aspects and those types of the negative aspects of, you know, the media conversation and the political conversation are often, sorry, what shapes someone's entire view.
Correct.
And so it was important for us to reach women in a different way and provide an inclusive, you know, a safe and maybe even a catered perspective, you know, to women with other women, so that they could see not only is that not necessarily representative of all of the firearms community, but that you also, these are your friends. They're the women in your mother's groups. You know, they are your librarians at your kids' schools. Like there's nothing different between the people who are legally and safely going to the range and going out and hunting and doing the things that maybe you in principle don't do, or maybe you don't agree with yourself.
Correct.
But it doesn't necessarily mean that it's wrong. It doesn't mean that those ways of life and those elements of someone's lifestyle and social interaction in their lives aren't important, or maybe their livelihoods, right?
Yeah.
So it was really about reaching women in a different way, not just putting them on the line and giving them the opportunity to shoot guns, but to really, you know, reach them in, you know, from an emotional and an education and an understanding perspective kind of way.
Right.
And hey, you know, there's women out there in every household, and let's not forget they vote. And
That's right.
in a lot of cases, they vote for the whole household, not just themselves.
Right. You know,
sorry, Kel. I was just going to say I love your perspective, Anna, because I think that that it really helps educate women to have an empowered voice. So it not only helps connect women, but it gives them confidence and strength that they actually do know a thing or two. And often it is women that lead groups against the firearms community.
Correct.
And so to have an equal balance, because you're right, it's not for everybody, but those of us that it is for, we are now an educated and empowered group of women that also have a voice.
Yeah. Like I will say, you know, probably 15 years ago, I would have been the wife that was like, I don't know if I want your buddy coming on my property and shooting my deer, right? Like if I'm not shooting them and I'm not okay with it, I don't know that I'm okay that somebody else is. But it wasn't because I fundamentally had a problem with other people doing it. It was because I couldn't bridge the gap between my perspective and I think the reality of it, which is fine. You know, maybe I was never going to do that. But now looking back and seeing it from a different perspective, you know, I think it shows me that it is that easy to sometimes change a perspective with just exposure and education and, you know,
right. And you're absolutely right. There are people, as you said, women, but especially women are emotionally based, and they see what has happened, whether it's the education they receive, whether it's through movies or through media. Media sensationalizes things. Obviously, if something happens in the US, it's emotionally based as well. Obviously, no one wants anything to happen to anyone, whether it's females or at schools or anything like that. So this is the approach that the CCFR uses, because women will actually, if we can change or introduce women to shooting and we can change some thinking, then that actually means that maybe the next generation will also come, and that'll actually continue to mean our sport will continue as well. Because we know if the moms come, the dads are already coming. So we know that if the moms come, they'll bring the kids. And as I said, the sport will continue as well. Let's talk about the Gunny Girl calendar. So it is something that is alive and well. It's been around for since 2000 and, well, geez, when did we start it? 8 years ago?
I was going to say, tell us, Kelly, how long has it
been? It's been 8 years. The first one came out 8 years ago, and it feels like it was just yesterday. And it was a mailing campaign, is what the first one came. It's evolved so much.
It
over
is no
those
longer
years.
a mailing campaign.
No, do you want to tell us all about it? Like you did say, it's the leading fundraiser for the CCFR Women's Program, and we sell a ton of these calendars, and that's what it's all about. It's about selling calendars so that we can fund as many of these ladies' days and the hunts and the RPAL courses that we can. So let's talk about the calendar and how is it going this year, Anna?
It is going well. So this is obviously my first year leading the project, and
you're doing a great job.
Not a surprise. I mean, it's kind of what I expected. A little bit of chaos, but a lot of fun. But no, as Kelly mentioned, a lot of us, look at the super cool pictures and we get to see the behind the scenes shots, and, we get to see obviously the calendar product at the end of it. And all of those things are incredible. The sponsors do amazing things for us and for the program, to support both creating the calendar and also, the prize draws that happen every month and all of those things. We'll talk about that a little bit more. But really, the point of the calendar is to do exactly that, to create a cool product that features some really nice gear, guns, obviously, some beautiful women that represent our shooting community. And so that's the other thing that, there's a million calendars out there, and I'm sure they all, sell for their own reasons, but our calendar is made up of our community. So these are Canadian women that are CCFR members that shoot. Now, whether, you've just started shooting and you're just getting involved, or, you're a competition IPSC shooter, everybody can apply. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But, the great thing about this is we're not going out, we're not finding models, we're not looking, specifically for people that we want to bring into our community to show you that they shoot. This really does represent, a group of women every year that are our members, which I love, right? I love that we're showcasing, people right here in Canada, and like the skills. Like I'm just floored every year, right, at the skills and the background of some of these women. Not to mention that they look absolutely stunning. So, it's kind of a win-win for everybody. But anyway, so every year we put the calendar call out in the spring. Varies a little bit, but it roughly is out for about 4 weeks. And there will be information on social media, on our posts, on the Women of the CCFR page, and various other places that tell you all the information you need to know about how to apply. But basically what we do is we open that, and then we do a selection from all of the women that apply every year, which is one of the harder things, right, Kelly? Like one of the hardest events of the year.
It is, because we have so many people that are applying for it, and it's
and are great.
And they're great, and everybody is beautiful, and everybody is perfect in every single way. And to actually only select 13 people out of the, we have literally hundreds of ladies that apply, and it's really hard to go back to people and say, thank you for applying. Unfortunately, we've selected somebody else, and it's not because they're not great representatives of their sport, or it's not because it's just we only have 13 spots.
We only have 13 spots, exactly. Yeah. So if anybody's listening and you've applied before and you haven't gotten selected and you're disappointed, apply again.
Yeah.
Just keep applying. That's all. I'll just put that out there. But going back to the whole point of the calendar, I mean, really, what we do is we select this great group of women and we create a photo shoot weekend in both Ontario and Alberta each year.
Yep.
If you've been watching the social media feeds, you've seen that the Ontario photo shoot just happened 2 weekends ago. I think 2 weekends, maybe 3 weekends ago now. I was like, wow, that happened fast.
It's
We
3.
were just saying that, right? And we are heading out to Alberta in a week and a half, just a little over a week, to do the Alberta shoot. So once that happens, then obviously we go through, all of the post-production exercise and all of that kind of stuff. And then roughly in about November, the final product will come out and will hit the shelves, if we call it that. And I know that some of the questions that you had, Deneen, were, where can you find the calendar and that kind of thing. So we'll just cover that now.
Sure.
Our select sponsors will have calendars. So each year, several of the sponsors that participate in helping us create the calendar, they will have a select number of them at the stores.
Yep.
Some of those sponsors will actually have Gunny Girls signings, where we have a day that we come to the store. We have some of the Gunny Girls that are there to be able to sign your calendar, whether you've bought it online or in the store. And then obviously you can always buy it at the CCFR online store. It will be available there.
Yeah.
So that's roughly the timeline of kind of how the calendar works from start to finish.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about, we always have somebody that we pick each year as an endorser. So why don't we talk about them? Because those are people that are...
Because they're important people.
Are important people who endorse the calendar. Let's talk about that a little bit. Let's talk about some of the people we've had in the past.
So I guess, in the past, we have had the Canadian Sportswomen's Society.
Mm-hmm.
So local group that promotes women in hunting.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have to help me out with a few of these, Kelly.
So we've had...
Last year we had...
It was the Canadian Sportswomen.
No, it was before. Last year it was Amber. Yeah. She's going to have to go through the Rolodex. Last year was Amber. Amber
from Tancac.
From Cantac. Right? Like Cantac out in BC. And she was actually in the calendar with me in 2022. So, for all those people out there wondering how things happen after the Gunny Girl calendar, sometimes, this is how it happens. She was our endorser last year. The year before that, I believe was that the year that we had Linda?
Nope. So we've had Mandolin from Just Hunts. That was the year before that. We've had Kate McQuarrie, who was one of our guests on the show. It seems like everybody that we have on this show has been an endorser at one point.
I was going to say, she's from PEI. From out east.
But we've had go ahead.
I was just going to say Linda. Somebody said Linda, I think.
Yeah, no. I think... Did
Linda
we not?
Miller?
No,
we haven't had Linda Miller yet.
Not Linda, not that Linda.
Linda K. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
That
was 4 years ago.
2 years before I was in it, or 3 years before I was in it.
Yep.
So we have had everything from women who are, Olympians. Let's say, leaders in the industry in terms of, their gunsmithing capability and business membership and that kind of thing from the CCFR perspective, as in Amber's case, to, Olympic shooters, right? In Linda's case. So we've kind of looked for women who are leading the charge in some sort of element of the shooting community, right? Whether they're leading an organization or developing opportunities for new women, or are a high performing athlete kind of in their shooting discipline.
The calendar itself, you did talk about it being sponsored. So all of the pages are sponsored by various whether retailers or organizations. So the calendar itself is paid for. So all the money goes directly from the sales, go directly back into the women's program, which I think is fantastic. Do you want to talk about a little bit about the draws and how it's not just a calendar, how it is also a draw as well, or a raffle ticket.
Yeah,
It's like
raffle ticket. Yeah.
it's like a gift that keeps on
I know,
giving, right? And as Tracy always says, the one time that registration does not lead to confiscation.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you mentioned, there are sponsors that sponsor each month of the calendar, so it pays for the calendar to be created, and then obviously all of the funds that we generate go to those sponsorships, which is a really nice, self-funding type model. And quite a few of those sponsors and other sponsors provide us with incredible prizes every month. So most months you'll see draws for 2 prizes. Some months there is draws for just 1 prize, but oftentimes that's also a gun. So, hey. But on the back of the calendar, and I should have just brought one down in front of me, on the back of the calendar, there is a nice little sticker, and it's got a nice little code on it. And so what you do is you just grab that code, and there's a website there. You go pop it in. Make sure you do that at the beginning of the year when you buy your calendar, or remind your friends when you gift it to them to go register it so that nobody's losing the opportunity for prizes. Oh, look, Danine's right on top of it.
There you go.
So
that's right.
There you go. Pop that code right into the website and it registers you. And then what happens is, if you pay attention to the CCFR Facebook page, every month towards the end of the month, Tracy's going to be on there doing live draws, and you can get some really great prizes. I mean, there is incredible stuff from companies like Vortex and, hunting companies. There's everything under the sun. There's the coolest prizes. I haven't seen a single one yet that I don't think I would be excited to get in the mail.
Yeah.
So that is really, another cool thing, right? It's not just a calendar that you buy. It's a calendar that you buy that sponsors women to have an opportunity to shoot that might not have otherwise been exposed to it. And it gives you something that gives you a chance to win a prize every single month.
Correct.
Which also makes it worth buying even in June.
That is correct.
There you go. So can we dive a little bit into the ladies of the calendar, the alumni? Let's talk about what the experience is like, what the perception of is when selected, and then what happens the weekend of the shoot, and then how we all stay connected afterwards. I mean, I went through the opportunity as well, and had the experience, and I wouldn't have such great relationships with you two ladies if it wasn't for that event. So let's talk about that, because I know the perception, there's so many girls that we show up and we're looking at each other terrified because we don't feel beautiful and we don't feel calendar worthy and we're not professional shooters, and why the hell am I here?
And somebody else is like, I hope somebody knows how to do eyelashes because I don't know what this is about. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I feel like Barb and I had a bonding moment over like, oh my God, what do I do with eyelashes? I'm like, don't look at me. No, I mean, it's a really good point, especially amongst this group of people. I think that there's probably a large number of us that have spent our lives being the one that like, I only have one girlfriend, or I have like 2 girlfriends and I have a lot of guy friends, or, I work with all guys, and not because we don't like girls, but because we've had a hard time finding the right group of other women in any, numbers other than one at a time that seem to like the same things or connect with us in ways that, we find productive for a long-term, friendship. And I think that so many people kind of come at this calendar, right, to looking at it as like, oh, it would be really cool. And I can see that it's real women just like me. Yep. But then I also look at them in this calendar and it's like, wow, I would never look like that. And I don't have that car, and I don't have that dress, and I don't, and it's like, I don't have that gun, and, all those things. Right. And then it's kind of like, oh, okay, maybe not. Maybe it's not for me. Oh my God, I'm going to show up for this weekend, right? Because you apply, right? You finally convince yourself to apply, you get selected, you get an email that says, yeah, okay, there's going to be this great weekend. Let us know how much of it you can come for. And you think, oh my God, I've never spent 3 days with like 10 other girls that I don't know. I don't know if I can do this, right? And so then all over again. Anyway, you finally convince yourself to show up and you get there. And, at least there's lots of other guns.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of CCFR like women there that you recognize from Facebook. So it's like, okay, things are feeling a little bit better. All right. And then we give you a giant hug and we're like, hey, how are you? We're really excited to see you. And then it kind of starts. And I think that sort of makes people feel a little bit more comfortable. And then they start to realize, having a conversation with 2 or 3 other people that are sitting there very awkward, feeling like they don't belong either, that, oh my God, they were super scared to apply and they didn't know if they should and they really wanted to. But then when they got selected, they were really excited. And so, it's like you can see the same anxieties and then sort of the same relief that comes out of lots of people when they get a chance to express that.
I describe it as a giant pajama party. It's a weekend wine and cheese with a bunch of women that love guns. We end up moving guns around. I brought this, but it ends up looking really good with what you brought to wear. So we share the firearms, we share shoes.
I was going to say your shoes and your top look better than mine. Yes.
And it's a giant sorority party. And we make the best friendships and have the best time and so many laughs. And it's really one of the reasons why I think ladies of that description that you gave us, Anna, it was a great description, should apply and should continue to apply because you'll meet your tribe. And we're from all across Canada. And, we're all backgrounds, races, colors, and creeds. And some of us are hunting, some of us are shooting, some of us are just recreational, but we all seem to have something in common. And we're adventurers and we're outdoors people and we're engineers and we're hairdressers and we're,
all of it.
Motorcycle enthusiasts and we're just people. We're just people. And it's so, I mean, I was like you, Anna, jumped in with both feet after my experience. How could I get involved? And so here I am, second year in a row, going out just because I want to have another pajama party with the girls and can't wait to meet everybody in 2 weeks and do this all again for the Alberta photo shoots. So.
Well, and it hasn't been that different for you, right, Deneen? I mean, you were, involved at the calendar the same year that I was. And ironically, looking at it now, it's like we didn't meet that year, but like we've been involved with each other since. And it's kind of the same thing, right? You look for the opportunities, whether, you become part of the women's program or a field officer or various other things that you can do to volunteer with the CCFR. There's lots of opportunities, right? And, people can participate in the ways that fit for them, depending on what we've got available in their area.
Absolutely.
We're always looking for it.
And there's an alumni Facebook page. So when somebody's looking for a good plumber in their area, we shoot it out to the alumni. Hey, does anybody know this or looking for that? Need some help? So there's that too, right? It's that group of people that help out, and we all just stay connected and show up where we can.
And sorry, go ahead, Cal.
I was just going to say which is funny because as Anna said at the beginning of these weekends, you think that you're the only one. And then you meet these amazing women. And now you have a whole network of women that you can finally feel like a sense of belonging with.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're all walking around, no makeup, crazy hair, glass of wine, donut in one hand, and all of a sudden everybody's just relaxed.
There's like zero judgment, right? That's one of the things. Yeah. And I just, there's something just really, really cool about watching a group of women who don't know each other show up, with that trepidation and then be put into a situation where frankly, like, you would feel like there's a lot of judgment. You're dressing up, you're putting on makeup, you're having photos taken of you. That's something that most people have literally never done at all. You would think that would be an environment where people would feel like they're being compared or they're comparing themselves or, like all the things that you kind of might have in your mind that would go around like a model at a photo shoot. And it's like such the opposite that it's just really cool to watch. It's like people are cheering each other on in between, like trying to let your eyebrows relax and your forehead relax and trying not to like have a crazy smile with a gun in your face. Like
exactly. Yeah, it is. And for those ladies out there that have seen the calendars and are interested, I will say firsthand knowledge, I did not have a clue what kind of clothes to pack. And I had the opportunity to do it with my best friend, Miss Casey, who's obviously part of this podcast as well. And her and I went through, each other's closets, and we were trying things on, and we were laughing because we didn't know what the heck we were doing. And we just decided to, pack everything. And it's a good thing I have a pickup truck because we put everything in it and drove to the shoot. So that's the other awesome thing, because last year I was able to help and help coordinate somebody's clothing when she was chosen, and I was like, these will be great, trust me. So we help each other too, and it's just a girls' weekend that happens to have a photographer that shows up and takes pictures.
Right. But going back to the alumni page, one of the things that we do afterwards is, there's obviously, next steps that come out for the girls after the photo shoots that give them a little bit of an idea of kind of how things go as we start to kind of put the calendar together and all of that. I will tell you, even when you're in the calendar, things are a surprise to you, when you get to the point where like it comes out and you get to see it all. So that's always kind of fun. But yeah, one of the things we do is add people to an alumni group. So as you mentioned, you can reach out to each other. That network is there. You can build friendships off of that and, kind of find each other when you need to. But it also gives us the opportunity to do things like we're going to do next Friday, which is reach out to a bunch of the former Gunny girls that might happen to be around the area. And we've invited them to come out for a meet and greet at the Shooting Edge because we're going to be there with Tracy. And so, it's just an opportunity, again, for some of those kind of like post calendar year things that sort of happen organically over time. When there's an event that happens to be going on around you, you might get a call out to say, hey, we're going to be somewhere at such and such a time. If you're available and you want to come on out and join the team, kind of thing.
It's going to be fun. Hopefully we get a bunch of alumni and maybe some potential new calendar girls show up and next Friday and we can meet them.
Yeah.
Another thing I was thinking of is this is definitely the softer side, but what I've noticed too is that when somebody their kid graduates, they get a new puppy, they lose their job, something that alumni group just reaches out and we support each other. And it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And that goes across all the provinces. And you may have not even met the girl you were in the same calendar with, but you have that connection. And it's cool to see on our social media feeds because you know each other now by name and you see everybody supporting everybody else. So love that too. So
one of the really cool things past couple of years people have been doing, we have had moms submit applications for the Gunny Girl calendar for their daughters. They didn't even know it. And just because moms have been so proud, or husbands or partners who've submitted as well. And then they have to go and talk to their wives because you won't select anybody until they are aware that they're being considered for
they have to spill the beans.
All right. But it just means that the community, there's a lot of women out there who have never thought that they maybe, I don't know how to say this. They or they should, or they, we've had women, I know that we've had ladies who participated in it. And especially in Alberta where we go to that one, we go to an Airbnb. And it's a little bit of a drive from the road up to the Airbnb. And I know that there's some people that have been sitting at the gate just gathering themselves to actually come up. And then once they walk through the door, they're terrified. And then once they walk through the door, they don't look back. And it's one of the best, I've heard it's one of the best experiences that they've ever gone through. And how empowering it is. Just here in Ontario, saying goodbye to some of the ladies, and one of the sweetest things, I was giving somebody a hug and saying goodbye to them, and they're saying, thank you for telling me I was beautiful every time you fixed my hair, or
right?
Whispering.
Like for some people that's like, this is like first of all, it's not what they were expecting, and second of all, that might be the first time they've heard that in like 2 years. And like, look at them, they're freaking beautiful.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So it's such a unique experience, and as again, it's only 13 ladies, and I wish we could actually do 500 ladies at a time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, absolutely. So I just noticed the time, it's 1:45. So we usually have the same couple of questions that we wrap up with, Kelly, with regards to why women should get involved in the shooting sports and what we can do to encourage that. And I'm going to throw that over to you and see what you'd like to share with our viewing and listening audience.
For sure. Well, from someone who kind of found my way into it myself, I guess I'll take it from that perspective. I would say, do take as many opportunities as you can to find local events. So whether you're like just looking around for gun ranges that might be close to you, whether you might happen to know someone who is a member somewhere. I know it seems really weird, but this is the one community that if you were to ask somebody, if you were to actually like cold call someone, hey, I really would like to go to the range with you, chances are they are probably going to throw a party over it more than anything else. Like, this is the one group of people that will never roll their eyes and be like, oh, sure, I'll take somebody new, right? So don't be shy about trying to really either take advantage of the opportunities that are around you or look for opportunities. Because I think just knowing that they're out there, right? Knowing that something might happen is like, this is kind of one of those communities that it may not be in your face all the time. So you may just have to do a little bit of work to kind of get yourself exposed to the things that are close enough that you can kind of like reach out and touch and be part of, especially if you're not licensed and you're not a member somewhere and you kind of really do need those public opportunities. I would say, feel free and definitely do join the Women of the CCFR page on Facebook if you're not. Even if you don't shoot, it's a really good resource location. It's a place where you're going to find a lot of us interacting. You'll see us sharing events, not just CCFR sponsored things, but events across all different types of shooting disciplines. You'll see us try to post registrations and that kinds of thing there for women's range days and other types of events that you have the opportunity to be part of. We try to share information and education links that are kind of out there from different disciplines and different parts of the shooting sports, just because we know it's kind of one of those places that whether you're just getting started or maybe you've got exposure in certain areas but you're looking for people and the opportunity to get into different types of shooting, we're all learning, right? So it's always nice to know that you can find things there. The other thing that I would do is try to get out to a range day. Yep. Even if you do shoot, like just the energy of being in a place where 60 women are shooting together is like, it is fun if it's nothing else. But it also gives you the opportunity to try things like shooting firearms that you might not get to try, right? Like going to the range with your friends is one thing and it's great, but maybe your friends don't have like every firearm under the sun, right? So there's also the avenue of like, you can actually try things in your hand. You can see how things fit ergonomically. You can get a sense of the way that different weights feel. Like all of those things factor into, how comfortable you are, especially things like shotguns, right? Learning what fits you right. The difference between, how different guns feel, how they shoot, like all of that stuff is really a slow exposure, across a lot of different people and a lot of different opportunities. So just take all of them that you can that are there for you, because I think that that's what gives you a better idea of knowing what you might want to be involved in, and probably also a chance to just expose you to something that either is going to be available to you or is really going to tweak your interest and make you realize, wow, you're intuitive, really, really good at something, and that's your jam, right? Yeah, that's what I'd say. Look for those opportunities and get out there. Don't be afraid to try, right? What's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Right. Thank you, Anna. I want to echo a comment you made earlier that I think also underlines this. women that shoot and women that want to shoot and women that are going to shoot all become ambassadors for the shooting industry. And so all the stuff you just mentioned helps those of us who are trying to ensure that the shooting industry maintains itself and in fact grows. Then getting out and giving it a try and going out and spending time learning about it is also really, really important, because some women just do that once a year. They go to their ladies range day but they're super keen on it, but that's all they want. They just want to go out and have that one day. And then there's crazy people like the three of us who have a gun in our hand, as often as possible, whether it's teaching, mentoring, competing, or just having fun. So I think those are all great pieces of advice, Anna. Now, Kelly, you used to wear the hat that Anna has now. What did we miss before we turn it over to the other girls? Anything?
No, Anna did such a great job with explaining everything. I think that, as I said, she's the perfect person to take the women's program to the next level. So excited to see where she takes it.
Outstanding. Well, I think what we're going to
set up for success.
I'm not sure about that, but okay. No,
I think
fantastic
Anna, it was absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It was a fantastic interview, Anna, and thank you for sharing everything. All I was going to say is I think Casey's got information on how people can contact you and the CCFR program. And I know right now there's been a ton of questions and comments. So Casey's going to run us through those, and we'll see if we can answer anybody's questions that we maybe haven't already.
Okay, so the first question I have is from 1AB, and she just wanted to know if the calendar will be available at TACCOM.
The new calendar will not be available at TACCOM. There may be some of this year's calendar still available, and I think there are still a handful of them available on the CCFR online store right now, but the new calendar will not be out. It will not be freshly minted yet.
Okay, and then the next one is from Jocelyn Dunn, and just asking if it will be available in all provinces for purchase.
So it is available online to order, so you can order it to any province. There will be select distributors that do order them to be bought in stores. I'm not sure whether that will be in every province or not yet. It sort of depends every year. But what we will do is, as soon as we know who has them physically, that will be part of what we also post as part of the social media postings for the calendar. So you will know in each province who actually has them physically to go pick up as well.
All right, and I think that's it for the questions. There was just a lot of comments. So
Yeah, there was
a lot of really very lovely supporting comments. So thank you to everybody who's watching. We really appreciate the comments and the support.
Well, if anybody does have questions about the calendar between now and next year, they know where to find us. They can reach out and we're happy to answer them.
Absolutely.
Well,
all right.
I was going to say that. Anna, why don't you tell everybody? I know that Casey just flashed it across the screen, but why don't you tell everybody where they can contact you?
For sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, I'm MacIntosh. Facebook is a regular old me. So you can look that up and ask the request.
Hold on a second,
Yeah,
Anna. You're breaking up pretty bad. Just give me 1 second to see if I can clear it up for you. All right, can we try again?
Yes, we can. How's that for a sound check?
Good.
Perfect.
Fantastic. Okay, so you can find me at MacIntosh on Facebook. You can send me a friend request. Better yet, for the details on CCFR events, you can join the Women of the CCFR page on Facebook. And you can also find me on Instagram. I'm brass_Mac. And yeah, reach out anytime. You can also email info@firearmsrights.ca. for any general inquiries on the calendar or other things to the CCFR. And if that has to do with the women's program, that can find its way to me. And if you would like a range day sponsorship, that is also the email that you send it to.
Yep. Excellent. Thanks so much, Anna, for coming on tonight. As always, lovely to speak with you. And thanks for coming on again for representing the CCFR and the CCFR Women's Program so well.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
I really appreciate this tonight.
Thanks, Anna.
Thanks, Deneen.
We'll hand it over to Regina.
Regina.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I think it's time to give away some prizes.
Excellent.
So let's start with our very nice and coveted She Shoots t-shirt that people need to be wearing and posting because we need to see those.
And I was on the ball today. I already did my counting.
Okay, perfect.
So our first winner is Jocelyn Dunn.
Yay, congratulations.
And she's on Facebook, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yes, I think Deneen would be the one to contact her, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Right.
All right.
Okay, so let's do the Canada First Ammo prize pack. So who's the winner for that one?
And that one is William Saunders.
Hey,
Woohoo!
congratulations.
Woo!
Thanks for watching
Yeah.
tonight, William.
William is on YouTube, and I cannot contact you through YouTube.
I got his details.
Kelly's got it. We're good.
Like, we got the dates.
We're good to
We're
go.
good.
Congratulations to our winners.
Okay.
Yay.
Now, I don't want to put Anna on the spot, but
I was going to say,
Anna,
don't-
does the CCFR have a swag pack that you want to give away to?
can we put together
Ooh.
a package of the new swag?
I think we could probably do a women's program, hat and t-shirt, and do
Yeah.
one of our, women's program swag. So why don't we do that? And we'll, and if you want to draw a winner, we'll get that out to you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Oh no.
Brand new off the
I was
hot
all
off the
ahead
hat.
of things. Now you guys messed me up.
We just put you on the spot again, Casey.
Yeah.
She's like, you were
Okay,
supposed to
okay,
tell
I
me
know.
you were putting me on the spot. She was the one getting put on the spot.
Well, I get to sit there and count through the random number generators. So, all right.
And just
so
so
our
you
winner,
know, oh,
Mark LeBron.
Lark.
Yeah, congratulations.
Sweet.
We
I'm
can
pretty sure
probably-
Mark will know who to give it to. He has some ladies that will be happy to get that ladies program t-shirt
Yeah.
and hat, I think. Yeah.
Perfect.
All right.
Awesome. So yeah, once again, congratulations to all our winners today. Okay, so now that we've given out some prizes, made some people happy, let's move on to our upcoming events. So I'll start with the CSF. So for the CSF, as previously mentioned, we're still looking for volunteers. We're always looking for volunteers. If you want to volunteer, just send us an email at submissions@CUSF. Also, if you are a student at a university or you're going to, because the school year hasn't started yet, but if you're going to be a new student and you haven't seen that there is a gun club at your university, you can also send us an email at submissions@cusf.ca and we can help you out with setting up a club at your respective university. Apparently, that's a hard word for me to say today. So that's it for me. Kelly, please, Maple Seed.
All right. So Project Maple Seed, well, the season is well underway and it'll continue to be well underway until the snow flies. So check out our website at mapleseedrifleman.com. Go to our event page on the website. You can see all the events that we're having. I recently was in Smith Falls, which is close to Ottawa, and what was this past weekend? Met up with some of the guys from the Carleton University and CUSIF club. Told them that we were going to have a CUSIF event in Stittsville, and they were super excited about it. I was going to be sharing with them the link so that everybody could come out from Carleton University as well as Ottawa U. I think it's going to be a great event because everybody is going to, the challenge will be put out because a couple of guys got their patch this past weekend. So if you are a Canadian University Shooting Federation member or student, watch for those events that are going to be taking place across the country. And those are going to go out to the CUSIF clubs first, and then we'll release them to the rest of the public as well afterwards. Yeah, that's about it for me. What about you, Deneen and Casey?
Well, we finally got to actually shoot together a couple weeks ago. That was exciting for us because Lady Guns is in 2 different provinces, so that was fun. And sadly, I have a shoulder injury right now that's totally limiting my ability to shoot. Yeah, so unfortunately, it's very limited activity. So, but I am very much looking forward to supporting the CCFR and the Gunny Girl calendar photo shoot event in a couple of weeks. So I'll be the armor on set and general go-getter, get-goer. I don't know, do whatever we need to do, and then hopefully we'll have some more really super excited and happy women and new friends. So excited about that. And in the fall, we've got some upcoming mentored hunting programs that hopefully I'll be able to talk about soon. But other than that, not unfortunately, sadly, not out shooting these days. So.
No.
Okay, well, I think that's my cue to start wrapping it up, I guess. So once again, thank you again, Anna, for joining us today. I'm sure we'll continue to talk to you since they are part of the Gunny Girls. I'm the only one that's not part of it, so we'll see. Maybe I'll remedy that one day.
Get that application in.
Next year.
Yeah, I just gotta remember. Okay, so anyways, let's thank again our sponsors. So thank you again to Capella's Canada Outdoor Fund, Savage Arms, Beretta, Vortex, and Canada First Ammo. If you like today's episode, please leave us a like and follow us so you don't miss out on any of our episodes. You can watch us on YouTube and Facebook, or you can listen to us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. If you liked our message and would like to learn more about our programs, check out our websites at cusf.ca, ladyguns.ca, and maplesaferifleman.com. To support us and get some additional perks, check out our membership programs. Thank you all for tuning into the She Shoots podcast, episode 19, Anna MacIntosh, CCFR Women's Program. Make sure to join us on September 12th for episode 20 at our regular time. Guest topic and theme will be announced on our social media pages, so make sure to follow us so you don't miss out. Thank you, and have a good night, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night, everybody.